This is part 2 of my talk called Word Study and Deep Spelling Instruction in a Comprehensive Literacy Program. In part 2, we'll consider what word study activities support spelling instruction. Here are the basic sorts and types of activities we'll be exploring: guided word sorts, writing sorts, word hunts, word study notebooks, speed sorts, charting, who doesn't like to chart, and partner sound sorts. Before we examine word study activities, let's consider some principles of the core standards. The core standards emphasize reading foundational skills that follow grade level expectations and that match development. The standards recognize reading skillfulness and domain-specific knowledge and comprehension. We have to be able to use what we learn. Proficient reading requires foundational word knowledge and vocabulary to understand concepts. The core standards emphasize vocabulary. Vocabulary is closely linked to concept development and content-specific studies. The core standards emphasize that academic language and academic vocabulary can be taught. Vocabulary is embedded in phrases. It's just not taught as isolated words. Vocabulary instruction demands a rich language environment. Vocabulary requires that we teach morphology, and this is usually accomplished at the upper levels of word study. That includes inflectional morphology and derivational morphology, which is the study of roots and affixes. The core standards also point out that we want to study mythology and biblical allusions, which are important in literature. This is an example of a word and writing sort. You can see the words that the students have been sorting. The 3 words at the top are the underlined words, and these are the key words the students will use to examine the basic patterns for the 2 long vowel patterns and the basic CVC pattern. So the students will sort these words on a regular basis after you or the teacher have demonstrated the sort. We can also conduct writing sorts, and students can also conduct these writing sorts in partners. In this case, the teacher has written these 3 words on the smartboard, and the students write these on their papers. And then she will call out a word, and the child has to write it under the column where it fits best. You can see that the word paint would fit under train. Rage, consonant, vowel, consonant, E, under made. And we would continue in this way through the rest of the sort. This could be a demonstration, but this could also be a part of their end of the week spell check. The following activities are arranged by stage, and they illustrate sorts and charting in notebooks, written reflections, and root work. Here are 2 examples of sorts. On the left we have a picture sort, and on the right a word sort. We would not include the actual letters until after the sort. We want the students to sort by sound and then see the actual written form. Here are 2 students in the center working with their tutor. You can see their word study notebooks, and they've studied now consonant digraphs CH and TH. Here you see 2 activities. The children are making words here on the left, get out of here, and here on the right the child is taking the word wheel and writing them by columns and word families in his word study notebook. We saw this slide last time with a child looking at complex single-syllable vowel patterns of OU, OW, and the OU again. Here are some children charting together. They've got the power. They're looking at long O words and short E and long E, and this can be a station, and the children keep on adding these words, and they're displayed on the wall. Here's a picture of a child's desk with the words spread out, and they would be placed in this little envelope here, and you can see the beginnings of the word study notebook. This child is looking at R-controlled words, single syllable. Here's a sort here, words that have a written reflection at the end here. The child has written the sort long A words and short A words, and then has written a written reflection here. All of this word, all of these words, all of this word say their name because they got two vowels, and that is correct, and an interesting way of thinking about the long vowel. This column, the short vowel, they do not say their name because they got only one vowel. And here the child is trying to understand the I and Y. The I turns into Y when it's at the end. Pretty insightful, and something that we can use to build on in our word study meetings with the students. Now we're moving into examining two-syllable words, and here's a teacher looking at the different ways that the unstressed syllable at the end could be spelled in legal and in nickel. This is part of the syllables and affixes stage. Also during this stage, the children are looking at consonant doubling, no change, and E drop with long vowels. In this case, on the first column, these are doublets. These are short vowel sounds. In this column, these are also short vowels, and these are long vowels with the E drop. We also have something called subsorts. Strolling I put here because there was no change, and yet it is not a short vowel. Here we also see finding no change, but a long vowel. These words are long vowels, but they are not E drops. The keeping, soaking, and boating are a different pattern, but still are long vowels that end with an ing. Here's another student looking at unstressed syllables. Do the words end in EL or LE? During this syllables and affixes stage, students are looking at suffixes, and when you add syllables to the ends of words, as in a suffix, you also change the grammar, the grammatical function of the word. So you see that spelling instruction and word study instruction also involve grammar. By the middle of the syllables and affixes stage, students are looking at how two-syllable words combine, and these are open syllables and closed syllables. Now the students are looking at the derivations of words, and in this case, the roots, T-R-A-C-T, and these are root words, M-O-T, and R-U-P-T. This type of word study often begins in their intermediate grades. Here's a figure a student has created to list out the words that end in the suffix TAIN, which means to hold. And here's a written explanation on the left of why words end in TAIN. And this is posted, and it's artistic in its own right, isn't it? Here's some deep word study at the upper level of the derivational relation stage, where the student found the word benevolent, a difficult word for that child, and the student wrote down the sentence it came from. And then as a class activity, actually in this case, we looked at the different ways words that have B-E-N-E in them, and then we discovered that B-E-N-E means well, and we looked at different languages in which that is the case. We looked at ENT and saw that it was a suffix. to turn a word into an adjective from a noun. And then we explored how volo means to wish, as in volunteer. And so we could see that when you wish someone well, that you are being benevolent. And so we can't study all words that way and as deeply. But by getting students to study some words deeply, they learn how to examine words. The student was looking for an interesting word, and he found the word pestering. And in looking it up, he found it was related to the word pester, pest, and on the right-hand top you can see it was related to pestilence. On the left you can see we found the relationship between pester and pistol and pestle and pesto and piston. Students keep track of their interesting or their crazy words. They find themselves enthralled with these extraordinary words. I hope that this part 2 has shown you various activities that can support your spelling instruction. Thank you for joining me. I hope this has been useful to you.